no matter who you are, I believe that you need to subject yourself to learn, right? Because life is a learning process. So, I mean, in 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 academia, which is the space I find myself in,
Right.
I mean, to be blunt, your success is dependent on who mentors you.
Okay.
To be blunt,
Okay.
it's that simple.
Okay.
Everybody around me knows that you can't say or pass any comment about women and get away with it. Immediately you finish speaking, I have to put you in your right place.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Dairy Mom podcast. My name is Diana Adair. I am the founder of the Dairy Mom. We inspire, educate, and empower mothers who may be struggling to reclaim their dreams or who may have temporarily set aside their ambitions due to the demands of motherhood. On the Dairy Mom podcast, we bring you powerful stories from audacious mothers around the world who defy societal expectations and harness their strength to juggle both roles of motherhood and the pursuit of their personal and professional ambitions successfully. Before we begin today's conversation, I want to say thank you to all of our new subscribers and to all of you who have been with us from the beginning. Today's episode will be a continuation of our second story from episode 5. This is a part 2 of our conversation with Dr. Eugenia Anderson. Dr. Anderson is an adjunct lecturer and gender historian affiliated to the Department of History and Political Studies at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Ghana, West Africa. She holds an MPhil and a PhD in historical studies, specializing in the gender question and social movements in Africa through the lens of student activism. Her expertise cuts across variant research themes and methods with a key interest in the use of oral sources and archival documents. Her research interest is focused on women's leadership in higher education institutions, student activism, and gender-based violence, religious activism, and decolonization studies. She served as a Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Fellow at Carleton University, Ottawa, Canada. She also conducted a postdoctoral research project on decolonization and student activism in the Postcolonial African University on Knowledge Production Agency and Critical Voices between October 2022 and September 2023, funded by a Mellon Foundation Postdoctoral Fellowship at the Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana. She is part of a Feminist Africa Research Consortium on religious activism in Africa. She's a pastor's wife, a mother of 2 children, and a mentor to many young ladies. If you're ready for a part 2 of our conversation, please grab your pens and notebooks and join me as I speak to our special guest.
In fact, if I'm being real, I even had 2 jobs to do,
Wow.
plus schooling, plus taking care of the home and, all
Whoa.
that.
2 jobs plus raising the kids plus schooling.
Yes,
Wow. Wow. That's a lot.
that's a lot.
That's a lot to handle.
But
So in a situation like that, what how are you managing to juggle everything and making sure everything was still on point, or should I say, yeah, well taken care of?
well, I guess it will all boil down to time management. So when I started a PhD, I spoke to my first employer. At that time, I was teaching in a high school.
Okay.
So I spoke to them and they allowed me to become a part-time or an adjunct instead of a full-time.
Okay.
And at that time, I had gotten an adjunct position in the university as well.
Okay.
So, I mean, I tried combining the 2 adjuncts plus the
Oh,
PhD,
okay.
right? So, one, it had to do with time management,
Okay.
knowing how to allocate the different responsibilities to the
Okay.
time available to you.
Okay.
And I guess I had a very good support system.
Okay.
both at work and at home,
Can you tell us
right?
about it? Can you tell us about your support system?
Yes. So in terms of work, as I said, I spoke to my employer at the high school,
Mm-hmm.
who immediately agreed to allow me to become an adjunct.
Okay.
And it was done in such a way that there were days where I would come there to teach,
Okay.
and there were days that I would go to the university.
University to
So,
teach.
in terms of Monday to Friday work, I divided it between the two.
Okay.
And then in the university too, because I had just been picked as an adjunct, I worked under um, more experienced lecturers.
Okay.
So they were also quite flexible with me,
Okay.
right? And yeah, so in terms of the supports I received from the workplace, it helped me greatly.
Okay.
And then the support from the home
Okay.
also played an important role. So my
Okay.
husband is a very supportive man.
Okay.
He supports every dream that I have, and
Wow.
whatever I need to do. If I have to be away, I have to be away. Once
Wow.
you tell him that I have to be away, he understands.
Wow.
So he was available to help fill those shoes that
Okay.
I wasn't available to fill.
Okay.
I also made sure to get help.
Okay.
This is one thing I tell any young lady
Mm.
whom I come into contact with,
Okay.
that the whole idea of a woman being a superhuman, I don't believe in that. That
Right.
as we are supposed to be superhuman, we are supposed to do it all. I don't believe in that.
Mm.
I believe in getting help.
Right.
So, so for instance, for my girl, at the time I started a PhD, I needed help.
Okay.
I didn't want to send her to school because I realized that sending the boy early to school had an effect on his health. He was always in the hospital for one thing or the other, always
Oh.
infection. We were always fighting infection.
Okay.
So with the girl, I wanted to try something different. So I
Different.
decided I didn't want to take her to school. I had to look for someone who was willing to help me to take care of her, right? I had a neighbor who eventually became like a mother to me,
Okay.
who willingly decided
To
to
help
help
you.
take care of her without even taking anything from me, right? So I
Wow.
believe that I've been blessed in the sense that at every point in time, the help I needed, by God's grace, I was able
Wow.
to
This
get.
this is very beautiful, and it's very it's worth noting that to be able to get that strength to try to juggle all of these roles. Number one, you need to learn certain skills. You mentioned time management. You mentioned speaking to your bosses for the two different places that you worked at, and I would say that boils down to negotiating, right? Your
Sure.
negotiation skills, because you had to come up and say, oh, can you let me work these hours, or can you let me work these number of days? So that's negotiation. And then also having a very good supportive system at home, me being your husband, and then who is also very understanding. And then the last thing is also even seeking for help, because then I'm assuming you probably wouldn't always have your husband at home also to take care of the kids, because your husband is a pastor. So
Yes.
so so that means that you had to also try and find an extra help, and that also really helped. Wow, that's really beautiful. So
And to add, I think our Ghanaian system, one thing that makes us stand out and which helps motherhood a lot is our social support system. So
yeah.
you would find that in Ghana, when a woman delivers, her mother immediately comes around, or her in-law comes around immediately to support.
Yeah.
And that support continues sometimes throughout the children's childhood, or,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So my mother has always been available. I mean, recently I traveled to Ottawa. That's
Yeah.
how we met.
Yeah. You were in Canada, yeah,
My
recently.
Yes, my mother was available throughout to support.
Wow.
So I mean, the social support system,
It's strong back home.
it's very important. I mean, I know that in the Western world they find different ways of
Yeah.
making up for that social system in ways which are different from ours.
Yeah.
But for us, it is this social system that keeps us going. The fact that I know that if I'm going for a funeral, I can send my kids, pack them up and send them to my mother and go for the funeral and come back. If I'm traveling, I know that, these people are there to step in for me, right? So
Yeah.
that is important.
Wow. Your story is very, very inspirational. And at this point, you are an adjunct lecturer, you are a mother, you are a pastor's wife, you mentor girls. You're also an advocate for women, and you're also a historian. There's so many things going
That's
on.
my day job.
That's your day job. That's your day job. That's so beautiful. And I think I watched one video of you on YouTube, and I'm going to post that link in the description for our viewers to watch, where you gave a very powerful speech in the presence of many distinguished men and women from our Ghanaian society, and especially with the presence of the Ashanti King, or the king of the Ashanti kingdom, Otunfo Osei Tutu. That's really powerful. And like, how how did you manage to drive yourself all the way to that level, where and you were the only woman who was called to give a speech at that event. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and then I want you to land on what advice you would give, young women, because it's not easy getting yourself in that position. I was like, oh my god. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. How did I get myself there? Do I even know? I guess, well, um, I believe in diligence. I
Okay.
believe in hard work. Um, I believe in building the right social networks,
Okay.
because no matter how good you claim to be, others have to buy what you are selling, right?
That's right.
So, I mean, I guess it was a privilege. I believe it was a huge platform for me, which was an opportunity given to me by Professor Emmanuel Champon,
Okay.
because he was part of the committee um, that organized the 150th celebration of the Sagrenti War, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I had met him 2 years earlier at the archives. I had sent, I was teaching research methods, so I sent some of our students to the archives.
Okay.
I had already read so much of his works, because he's a Harvard historian, but he's a Ghanaian and an Asante. So I had read so much about him, but I hadn't even met the man.
Okay.
So I sent my students to the archives, and I got the privilege of meeting him, and I was excited to meet him. I introduced myself to him, told him what I did, blah blah blah. The students, we invited him to even give a talk to the students and all that, and it ended there, right?
Okay.
Afterwards, I took his email, I emailed him and all that. I didn't really even get a response, but well, that's academics for you. Some of the emails will be lost somewhere. And so 2 years later, when they were organizing the program, this man remembered that he had met me. So he got in touch with my mentor and asked my mentor that, okay, I met this young lady 2 years ago at the archive. She said that you are her mentor.
Okay.
We need a woman to do this and this and that. Is she available? So the social networks and the diligence come in, right? So your hard
Right.
work is not enough. You need people to push you. So if I did not
Right.
have the right mentor who would say that, oh, okay, yes, Eugenia can do the job, and he had said that, no, Eugenia cannot do the job, then this opportunity would
It
have
would
passed
have been
by.
missed. Right.
Yes.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean,
Wow.
it wasn't, I wouldn't say that it's something that um, I got an opportunity to do because I can do it better than others. But I think
You
that it was
leveraged.
it was a divine
Yeah, and you leveraged your
opportunity.
your network, and that's so important.
Exactly.
Like when we go out and we meet people, it's important to establish, connections. It's
Yes.
important to network,
Yes.
because you never know what doors, the other people who also know other people are going to open for you. And that's very powerful. And I like the fact that you mentioned that you have a mentor. Can you tell us a little bit about mentorship, and what mentoring has done for you as a mother? Like, why did you even go out to seek me? Because for you, I would assume, oh, you are like at the top, but you also have a mentor. And can you tell us a little bit about that? And you're also in the position of mentoring young girls. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, no matter who you are, I believe that you need to subject yourself to learn, right? Because life is a learning process. So, I mean, in academia, which is the space I find myself in,
Right.
I mean, to be blunt, your success is dependent on who mentors you.
Okay.
To be blunt,
Okay.
it's that simple.
Okay.
As I said, I met Professor Champon. I mentioned my mentor's name.
Okay.
It ended there.
And he knows
It
your
was a
mentor.
simple conversation.
Okay.
2 years later,
Wow.
he needed somebody. He knows my mentor closely than he knows me.
Right.
But I was able to get an opportunity because of the relationship he has with my mentor,
Okay.
and because of the fact that I had mentioned my
Your
mentor's name.
mentor's name.
So, I mean, for you to survive in the academia, you need the right mentor. If you have, I mean, the probability that you will become like your mentor is
It's
very high.
high.
If your mentor is up there, the probability that you also end up becoming up there or moving up there is high, because it's your mentor that will introduce you to his or her social networks.
Yeah.
And then eventually you also move up the ladder, right? So the same applies for, so what I try to do with my students or those around me is, I'm very passionate about women, about young girls.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm very conscious about fishing out young girls that can be mentored.
Okay.
And in the university, I mean, we have a lot of them.
Okay.
So I try my best to draw some of them close to me.
Okay.
And then, so for instance, this year, there was a lady in my department that was who wanted to stand for the HISOC president, that is the History Students Association president.
Okay.
Initially, she said she was going for women's commissioner. And then, one of the men, because the men know what I do and what I'm passionate about, one of them brought her to me, that she says she's going for women's commissioner. Talk to her. So I said, why are you going for women's commissioner? She explained herself. Then I asked her, do you think that you cannot be president? Is the president up and above you? She said, no. I advised her. She went. She said, the men, she met the men, they kind of scared her. She came to tell me that, oh, no, I'll not go again. I said, no. Once you have started the journey, you have to
You have
complete
to
it.
go.
Even if it means you will lose, there's still something to learn.
Right. Right.
So I encouraged her. She went for the HISOC president. She lost, yes, but I believe it has been a learning process for
For
her.
her.
If she decides to go again next year,
She
her
knows
chances
what
of
to do.
winning will be higher than, because whether we win or we lose, there is something to learn.
There's always
So
something to learn.
yes, I'm conscious about this, and gradually people around me are also conscious of the fact that this is who I am, this is what I do. So it's either they themselves also approach me anytime they need mentorship or counseling, or even when they find others who need mentorship and counseling, they bring
They
them to
bring
me,
them to
because they
you.
know that when it comes to women, you can't be in my presence and talk anyhow about women. You will not get away with it. Everybody around me knows that you can't say or pass any comment about women and get away with it. Immediately you finish speaking, I have to put you in your right place. That you cannot say this about women. I mean, sometimes we do it jovially, sometimes we are serious about it. But people around me know that when it comes to issues of women, young women and all that, I am very passionate.
Wow. This is really inspirational, and I find it very very powerful. To know that you are out there pushing women to go for, like what, like that, to go beyond what they even see themselves, as capable of becoming, because it takes a lot of guts and courage to want to stand for, their president of the associate. It takes a lot of courage. I have my own story to share on that one. When I was back in KNUST, I was going all the way to contest for the president of the Ghana Engineering Students Association. At the time, I contested an election for the general secretary, I think when I was in second year. So when I got to third year, I was going to contest for the president. And I had lots of people backing me at that time. The only thing that caused me to stop was one of my lecturers said that, and it's okay.
Yeah, we tend to discourage women in terms of leadership positions.
Yeah.
And that's what my PhD was actually on. So once I was done with the PhD, I became that conscious that within society, we don't consciously groom women to become leaders.
Yeah.
So as women, if we want to be leaders, then it means we have to consciously want to groom ourselves. Because the men do not like the idea. And they will say that you are rubbing shoulders with them. I don't even know what that means.
This conversation is going to put me into trouble, but we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
The men are going to come after me.
Yeah, they claim we rub shoulders with them just because we want to be who we believe we are supposed to be.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's really powerful. So as we wrap up the conversation, where can we find you, and are you open to being a resource person, a mentor to maybe other young girls who are out there, and they want to reach out to you? Are you open to that? If you are, where can we find you? How do we reach you?
Yes, definitely. I'm open to mentorship. If people need, advice, mentorship, or whatever, I'm open. In terms of how to reach me, my social media presence is mainly on Facebook.
Okay.
I don't do too well with the gram and all the others. When I go there, in fact, I don't know what to do there. But for Facebook, I'm constantly there.
So we can reach out to you on Facebook.
The Gen Zs say that the Facebook is for the older people, and
the other platforms are for
the X and the grammar,
the TikTok and the
grammar. We have accepted. When I go there, in fact, I don't know what somebody. My husband recently asked me that Snapchat, when they go there, what do they do? I don't know. Me, I only use the app to take pictures. They have nice filters, so that's the only use I have for Snapchat. So Facebook, you can reach me on Eugenia Anderson. That's my name on Facebook. You can send me an email. I guess my email address will be in the bio, so they can reach me through there. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm available if anyone wants to chat or something.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you for having me on your platform.
We hope to bring you back someday to tell us more about anything you're working on, mentorship, whatever. We hope to speak to you again some other time. Thank you so much for coming.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Thank you. Wow, what a powerful conversation. This brings us to the end of our interview with Dr. Eugenia Anderson. I really hope you learned something from her story. For me, the biggest learning points were on economic power as a woman or as a mother, seeking mentorship, networking, and support. In episode 5, part 1, she said, "He who feeds you controls you." In episode 6, she made a very profound statement that said that goes, your hard work is not enough. You need people to push you. Who do you have in your circles? Who do you have around you that speaks into your life? Who are you listening to? And then she also said, your success is determined by who mentors you. The big question is, as a mother, or as a woman, or as an individual, or as a father, as anybody in any capacity listening to us, who is your mentor? Who mentors you? I really hope you learned something. Please put what you learned in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. As I wrap up, I want to say thank you for staying with us up until this point. In our next episode, episode 7, we'll bring you another story from another mother. There's always something to learn, and I hope you're ready to join us in episode 7. Before I go, I want to say thank you, and I also want to ask you to please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so. If you are yet to follow us on social media, our social media handle is @thedairy-mom. You find us on Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, and on Instagram you find us @the_dairy-mom. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. I will be happy to get in touch with you. Thank you so much for your time today. And before I go, there's always one question that I like to ask. What is your hashtag, the Dairy Mom story? I know you have a story to tell. What is your hashtag, the Dairy Mom story? Join me and let's do this together. My name is Diana Ade, and I am the Dairy Mom.